so that we can have a completely different Baltimore City. And those are the things that we have to tackle even during COVID-19, where we know we're facing budget deficits, and probably even worse, the worst is yet to come. Where we know we're still seeing too many people get sick with this virus, and we can see how it's going to impact every way of life for us for the foreseeable future, and we have to get that under control as well. So I'm going to shut up there, Mark, because I know you guys are pressed for time, and allow the people to ask me as many questions as possible.
Thank you, Brandon. We really appreciate that. While we are generally pressed for time, we always have time for you. I want to make sure that we do get our questions in. Usually we would have folks send them to us in the CCA page or in the chat here. It's possible that your brief statement was so comprehensive that nobody has any questions. So why don't we do this? I don't see any. Okay,
we just got one from Joel.
One.
Yes. Okay.
We got two. Great. Can you see him, Brandon? You want me to read him?
Yeah. I can read them. So we have a question from Joseph. He says, "How do we stop gun trafficking into the city?" Joseph, I'm glad you brought that up. So it's not an easy thing, right? And you're never going to hear me say that, oh, we're going to tackle this and we're just going to eliminate it, right? I'm always going to be based in the realm of reality. But this is what I would like to say to you, Joseph. You see time and time again, in my 36 years, they've done it so many times where you have BPD say, we just broke down this big drug organization and we stopped. That's me. Oh, crap. Oh, I'm back.
I think you're back.
You're back.
Oh, no. There we go.
No.
Comcast. Oh, no. Hold on, everybody.
When are we going to fix Comcast?
Comcast.
Yeah.
Every day with them. Every day. Every day. Sorry. All right, I'm back. I think I'm back now.
Yeah,
All right,
I think you're good.
All right, cool. So, Joseph, you've seen time and time again when they say, okay, we've stopped this, broke down this big drug organization, and we stopped all of these drugs from coming off the port or 195, and they lay out all these drugs on the table and all this money on the table, and they've arrested 15, 20 people, right? Have you ever seen them do that with guns? No, because they never have. They never have, right? And what has to happen, and I had a great relationship with the now former special agent in charge for ATF for us, who actually is where I got a lot of this information about how there is no real focus around gun trafficking and how we need to fight for stronger federal laws around it. Actually, shout out to Senate President Ferguson, who took up the cause to actually make it at a state level a felony and not just a misdemeanor, right? So there's a lot of work that we have to do, but what they need to do is partner with our federal partners, because we know ATF is going to be leading that, but also our regional partners. This is a way that we can work regionally around guns too, because a lot of them are coming from Baltimore County, Harford County, Anne Arundel, Calvert, St. Mary's, and then thinking about how we, especially in this moment at the national level, talk about that, because so many of them they're not just coming from West Virginia and Pennsylvania, they're coming from Georgia and Florida, and like the map from 2018 shows you like the ridiculous spread from California, and folks are bringing those here. Like, we know how transit deprived neighborhoods in Baltimore are. I know that some young man that ends up with this gun in his hand, who, if he shot someone, absolutely should go to jail and do his time. But if that gun is coming from West Virginia, I know he didn't drive to West Virginia to get it, because he's never been to East Baltimore, right? So we have to focus on them through partnership and hold those people accountable. And we're going to be pushing them to do that for sure. The second one that I see here is from John Ford. He's a government employee. John, I hope you're staying safe at work. And if you're working from home, I hope that you're enjoying yourself and being able to be more efficient without people walking into your office all day long. But he said, how would I look at changing the board of estimates process to be more efficient and just transparent and just as transparent? This is actually something, John, that we're going through right now before I even move, because what I like to do when I do pieces of legislation that are going to be significant, I don't rush anything. to get it right. Oh, come on, Comcast. Gotta be kidding me. I don't want to just do it. I want to do it to do it. I want to do it to get it right. And John, what we've been doing is looking at cities across the country, right? For example, pretty much there's only Baltimore, St. Louis, and Minneapolis that still have border estimates. Everywhere else has eliminated it. And now we're at the point where we're trying to discuss and figure out what's the best option for us to put up to you guys, the voters. So let me just run down these things. So originally we thought that, hey, just changing it to mirror the Board of Public Works at the state would be the best way. And then we talked to St. Louis, who has a three-member board, but we learned and we had some questions like, what happens if, you know, you have two people who vote against each other and the other person can't vote? How does the tie get broken, right? Can contracts be held up for a long period of time? And they said, well, that doesn't really happen for us. And I said, why? They said, well, our Board of Estimates actually doesn't do our big contracts. We have a separate board of all the agency professional folks who handle that. So like that pushed us back a little bit because that also lacks a lot of transparency. In Minneapolis, for example, they have a board that's a little larger than the one that we have. They have, you know, the mayor, the council president, the like comptroller like person, but they also have other representatives from other boards. You know, they have Parks Board people that have to be on there, and they actually also elect people to simply serve on the Board of Estimates, much like people get elected to school boards in other places and will in Baltimore in the future. So that's another option. And then the other option is that what most cities have done is just say, no, we're going to take the folks like myself out of it. We're going to take the politicians out of it. We're going to allow the procurement professionals, the agency professionals to make those decisions. So what you will get from me is what eventually will be the best thing that I think is the best thing for Baltimore City. And we look forward to trying to have that answer before the end of this term. All right, let's see here. All right, someone said, what is the status of the city budget and how will the city adequately and equitably fund our public schools to the blueprint level? So thank you for that. Right now, the city budget is hurting. There's no doubt about that. We're going to be having we have another briefing with them with finance in a few weeks to get the latest of where we are. And we know it's not pretty. We're going to be we've heard from the state. You guys may have saw this afternoon that myself, Mayor Young, the county executives from Baltimore County, Howard, and Anne Arundel are now fighting against more drastic cuts to MTA that will basically cripple the system. And we know that our great partners at the state level, like Delegate Learman and the great folks from 46, are going to be fighting for us in the state budget. And we know how that impacts, right? We all know what we really need. We really need the federal government to actually lead for once, but we know that that's probably not going to happen until after the election is out, because folks are more focused about the campaign and not on American lives and American cities for sure. But what you can rest assured for me is that priority uno, in whatever shape it comes back to us, is funding Carolyn the blueprint for Maryland's future, because it's not just the right thing to do. It's the only thing that you can do in a moment like this. When you're going through something like this, it's not the time to pull back from education. It's the time to double down on it, because we know what it's going to mean for the future. And I always say, I can only wonder how different my life would be, how many more of my friends would still be here, how many more wouldn't be in jail, how many more wouldn't be addicted to drugs if they had fully funded schools when I was there. That's the reality of what's happening. It shouldn't just be because me and my one friend who went to school with me from elementary all the way through high school are successful and other people are dead or addicted to drugs. And the only thing different, we all grew up in Park Heights. The only thing different between he and I and the rest of them is that we went to Roland Park for middle school. That's it. That's what changed our life. That access to quality education changed our life. And we have to make sure that more and more of our young people have that. Let's see. It's a question about COVID-19. The figures always tell us the number, a total amount in the zip code, but logic tells us that many of the people are either recovered or dead. How do we know what % of the population in Canton has it right now? We will do I'll do a follow-up to the board around that to see it's going to be kind of hard to see if the health department has it broken down to that level. And I don't believe they do, but I would just say that we know that the zip code is still very high, and we have to make sure that we're protecting ourselves as we move forward. Mark, let me know how many more of these.
Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead. Let's do, why don't you do 2 more questions, and then, I mean, why don't we do a few more, honestly, Brandon? It's such a great thing for folks to have you here and to be able to answer questions. So why don't you do a few more, and if it's okay with Brooke, we'll throw it to her in a few minutes after that. Great, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Brandon.
Cool. This is from JL. How do if I all intend to address the demands for reallocation of allotted funding for the Baltimore Police Department to social services, education, community policing, etc. So I actually led the council this year on what was the front end of that, and this is what I would say. And I actually wanted the current administration to join and put together a group, like a task force of not just a city, but some state individuals and even private folks into doing the responsible thing. The reality is this: yes, we know in order to fully fund Kerwin, in order to meet the things that we're going to have to do to make Baltimore a better city, over time, BPD's portion of the budget is going to have to come down, right? But that is not just about a cutting; it's also about the inefficiency there, right? Let's say imagine a world where they don't spend 40, 50, 60 million dollars over their budget in overtime. How significant of an impact would that money have in other agencies, at the school system, at rec and parks, right? At housing? What could we do with that money? But we also know that we have a federal consent decree that we are going to honor as long as I'm here, because we know that we have to have a constitutionally operating police department in order for us to ever be a city that's going to deal with the issues that we have. And what the responsible thing to do would be for us to actually do a deep dive and study how we can do it responsibly over time, to meet our needs, but also meet and honor the consent decree, meet and honor the fact that we are a city that is one of the most violent, and we have to tackle those issues as well, but also looking towards the future where we can be reimagining public safety. And it's unfortunate. I really wanted to do that work now between when I announced it in June, July until December, but now we will actually take on that and do that work ourselves. And I know that many community organizations, state and local representatives are looking forward to that, because you cannot just do something like that in an irresponsible, reactionary fashion. It has to be very well thought out and very well plotted out to make sure that you are not cutting off your nose to spite your face, but that also that you are meeting the things that you committed to. And we will commit to doing both. It doesn't have to be an either or. We can reimagine public safety and begin to reallocate dollars, but do it in a responsible way. Let's see. This next one is from Trey. What up, Trey? Do you have the data to show that also?
He was speaking on one of the topics you were talking about earlier.
Before,
yeah.
Yeah, I guess Trey, I get based on the second question, he was saying, I figured he has the data to show. Do I have the data that shows that the guns
are coming in from other states?
Yeah, actually, Trey, if you go to the Afro, Stephen Janis from the Afro actually did a story with me last week about that, and I believe he has the chart in that story. If you go and look at it, if not, I can find it to you, and I know how to get it to you. Oh, great. This next one is from Maura. In terms of behavioral health, there are no inpatient long-term facilities for adolescents in Maryland suffering from substance abuse, and very little mental health services. It's woefully inadequate. We have one mobile crisis unit in the city. What is the plan to heal our city? What will my budget include funding for the Healing City legislation? Also, I hope any legislation related to guns or anything does not include mandatory minimums. I will start there. Mandatory minimums don't work. They will never be something that I will push for. They should, get rid of the ones they have, because clearly hasn't had an impact on crime in Baltimore, at least. So we know that they don't work. We know that only a true comprehensive approach and focusing on the right people actually deals with crime. And yes, we will be funding the Healing City legislation. We will be operating through a lens of trauma-informed care. As you know, leading the council and passing that legislation is something that I'm very proud of, and also really looking forward to challenging the way the city deals with substance and mental substance abuse and behavioral health issues, because we have not the little known secret that we don't talk about in Baltimore is that we actually lose more people to overdose even than we do to gun violence, but no one talks about that. And we have to start to attack substance abuse in Baltimore from a lens of harm reduction and understanding, putting in practices and policies that have been put in place around the world to be able to deal with that. Because in order for us to treat those individuals, they have to first be alive.
Right. Brandon, the final two, I think, are on the same subject. So if you want, you can just speak on that. It's basically speaking of the plan that you have to get volunteers to help with recycling pickup. If you want to finish off with that for us.
Yeah, I just want to say, and I know that Director Garbach's probably going to talk about this, but we know that our workers, they are busting their butts trying to work. We had an unfortunate incident where one of our workers died last week, and we all know the impact that COVID has had on that. And while I am pressuring the director and the agency to figure out there are other things that we can do to help with a basic service that we have to meet in the city with trash and recycling, I also want to step up myself. I'm going to be out there myself picking up trash and recycling and asking individuals to help us do that. And you can actually, Joseph has actually put the link into the chat where you can actually go and see that and sign up, or you can just call our office at 396-4804, especially if you have a pickup truck or something like that.
Awesome. Well, you let us know when you're going to be in Southeast, and we will jump on it and pick it up with you. We'd be more than happy to.
Yep. And the last thing I wanted to say is that I am like the most excited person that the Sprouts is open, because now Sprouts is where I get my fresh fish. So now I don't have to venture out to Towson once a month. I can come to Canton. So if you see me in the Sprouts, please say hello.
Great. Awesome. Looking forward to that. Brandon, thank you so much. And thank you for your time. What we'll do is we'll let you go. And to the extent that people ask more questions, we'll compile them, we'll get them to you, we'll get responses from you if that's all right, and we'll send them back out to the community so we can make sure we get all those questions answered.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Brandon.
Bye, Brandon. Thanks.
Okay, with that, we are going to turn it over. We got a fantastic elected official 1-2 punch tonight. So we're going to go from Brandon to our wonderful District 46 delegate, Brooke Learman.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see all of you tonight. And just so all of you know who I am, I'm one of your 3 state delegates. We at the state level have 3 state delegates and 1 state senator who represents we all represent District 46. So your state senator, our state senator is Senate President Bill Ferguson. And our 3 delegates are me, Luke Klippinger, and Robin Lewis. So I live in Fells Point with my husband and 2 young kids, and looking forward to the start of virtual school at Hampstead Hill Academy next week, where my son will be starting 2nd grade in Miss Weber's class. So any parents out there who had Miss Weber, let me know. Oh, good. Adrian says good. So we're looking forward to that. And so I am delighted to be with you tonight. I was here earlier this summer, so I'm not going to talk about what we did last session. Instead, I'm just going to come on tonight to talk about voting. And how you vote, because I've had a lot of emails and questions to me about making sure that people know how to vote. And so I'm going to be really brief and talk a little bit about voting, and then I'm happy to answer questions on any topic you want. But just want to make sure everybody knows how to get involved. So you all know Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd, but there are many, many opportunities to vote before Tuesday, November 3rd. The first thing to keep in mind is that unlike in June, this time around, the governor did not send everybody, the State Board of Elections did not send everybody a ballot. Instead, you should have received this past weekend, at least I received this past weekend, an application for a ballot. And so you fill that out, or if you go online, you can just request a ballot. So you can do it online right now. You don't have to mail back in that application, or you can send that application in Either way, if you do it online or by sending that application in, a ballot will be sent to you. When you receive that ballot, you fill it out at home, and you can then put it in a mailbox. If you mail it, make sure that you get it in so that it is postmarked by November 3rd. So leave plenty of time if you can, but make sure it's postmarked by November 3rd. The other option is to find one of the ballot collection boxes. They'll be all over the city. We don't have all of the locations yet. There'll probably be one at the Southeast Anchor Library and other big locations like that. We're trying to get one at Hatton. I know I put in a request to have one at the Senior Center outside of that as well, because I just thought that would be really convenient for folks and for seniors who know where it is. So the second thing to remember is that if you get your ballot, you need to use it to vote. So if you decide after you get your ballot that you don't want to use it and you want to go vote in person, you might have to fill out a provisional ballot. And so the best thing to do is when you get your ballot, just fill it out. You can drop it off where you usually vote if you want to. If you want that experience of going to your polling place, the complete list of polling places, I haven't seen it yet. I don't think it's quite out. But when it comes out, you'll be able to see all the polling places that are open and all of the early voting locations that are open too. It will be most polling places, but not all. And so that list will be important. But really the easiest thing to do is just get that ballot and do vote by mail by dropping it in a ballot drop-off box or dropping it in the post office. Really simple. I mean, not really simple. It would be more simple if you'd sent us all ballots. But hopefully everybody will be able to get in their vote easily this time around. And thank you, Amanda, for sharing that link.
Yeah, and I'll share my screen for a second here. I mean, this is the web page. You know, we shared the link. I'm sure. Can anybody see it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So you go down here and here's the dates here, the deadline for the registering to vote, for requesting a mail-in ballot, all of this. And then, you know, you click on these and it takes you down to the parts where it talks more about it. But we posted that link above.
Yep. And so one thing to note is when you go to request a mail-in ballot that you see right there in the middle, it will feel like you are re-registering to vote, and you sort of are. And so don't get discouraged, I guess is what I would say. It only takes a few minutes, but you will, at least I felt sort of like, why do I have to fill all this information?
Right.
But you do. So you have to fill everything in, basically like you're re-registering to vote. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it asks you all these questions again.
Right, which is like, in some ways, you know, if I'm putting a positive spin on it, it's good because it's making sure that you're getting your address right because they're mailing you a ballot. And so, you know, then you'll fill that out and you'll send it in.
So this is where that button is when you go down to request a mail-in ballot. I did it, it was easy. And then I got a follow-up email saying that I would receive it in the mail, you know, after I think within 3 weeks of the election, but I am not quite sure.
So Arlo Hemphill has, considering the recent attacks on the post office, do you have full confidence our ballots will reach the election board and count if we end up getting and mailing ballots closer to election day? So I guess what I would say is that I would, if you're not sending it in at least, you know, a couple days before election day so that it can absolutely be postmarked by election day, I would use a ballot drop-off box. They're secure, they're safe, they're going to be all over the city. So I think that those are the best. Will there be extended time for early in-person voting? There will be in-person voting available, and it will be at a variety of places all over the city. I requested a ballot like 3 weeks ago and nothing has arrived. No ballots have been sent out. Ballots will not be sent out until later in September. So don't worry, it's not that it just hasn't, none of the ballots have been sent out yet. They're not going to be sent out until later this month. Do you think this mail-in ballot messes everything up? No, I actually think that mail-in voting is the way to go. Every state that does mail-in voting has much higher turnout. And it is much more accessible for people who can't take a time off from work, who are, you know, maybe they're away, maybe they're sick, maybe they're older, whatever the reason. Mail-in voting gives you time to look through your ballot, consider your options, look up candidates. Maybe you'll even look up who's running for judge for the first time ever, right? I mean, so it really gives you the ability to be a more informed voter and to take your time. So I think that, so I really am a big believer in mail-in voting. And I will say, you know, some people try to turn it into a partisan issue. It's not. Utah has been doing mail-in voting for years. And I just read an article by the Secretary of State of Utah extolling the virtues of mail-in voting. So I think it really can work if it's done correctly. I mean, in June, it was really hard in June. Things were messed up. It wasn't great, but we still had higher turnout than we'd ever had before. So, you know, I think it's something that if we really believe in franchising people and giving everybody the opportunity to vote, it's something that we should seriously consider moving towards. You got an email. I also got an email, but they are not mailing them out until, we have been told they are not mailing out ballots until mid to late September. 6 to 8 weeks before the election is what they told us. So any other questions about voting or mail-in voting? And I'm going to put my email here. Oops, not to just Amanda, but to everybody.
I have it already.
Okay, yeah. So this is my email. Feel free to email me, my website where you can look me up and find out what's going on. I am delighted to speak to you about anything and everything. I try to be very accessible to people. I've worked really hard throughout the summer with a lot of people in Southeast, including Pastor Jim and Mark Parker and many folks to do a lot of food relief and food organizing efforts. So we actually pulled together all of the many neighborhoods, churches and community school coordinators starting like the first week of April. And we had calls every week to talk about food and food access for seniors and Latino residents and people affected by COVID since then. And, you know, we were getting up to 30 groups at a time, all coordinating efforts. So it was people really pulled together in Southeast, and I've been like really proud of the amazing work that's happening in Southeast. So, so a huge shout out to everybody who's been working on these efforts. My final spin is for, or my final shout out is for the census. If you have not filled out the census, you have no excuse. Go online, census.gov, and fill out the census. I promise every one of you knows somebody who hasn't filled out the census, and I beg of you to like be that friend who emails all your friends and is like, hey guys, like, has everybody filled out the census? It's so important. So I just really urge you to go online to census.gov and take the 10 minutes it takes to fill out the census. And please then like remind 5 friends or post it on Facebook. It's really not hard, and it's basically the #1 thing you can do to support Baltimore right now. So thank you. Any questions?
Great.
It looks like
I think you hit everything, bro.
Well, Mara had a question there.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah, it came in the midst of other stuff, but she says, given the current status of the state budget and power of the Board of Public Works to cut the budget, is there any chance the General Assembly will hold a special session to override some of the vetoes, particularly some of the revenue generating legislation?
It's a great question. I do not anticipate us holding a special session. That is not me saying that I do not think we should hold a special session, but I do not anticipate us holding a special session. There are a number of reasons. So special sessions in Maryland are generally like 1 or 2 days, and they're on 1 or 2 issues, like to pass the casino bills many years ago. One bill, it took like 2 days, they passed it, they went home, they were done, right? Usually it's on a very discrete topic because it's a lot of money and work to bring all of the legislators to Annapolis and all of their staff and all of DLS. And that's when it's safe and okay to be in close quarters because most of DLS and many of the staff are high risk and much older. So there's a lot of concern about what we're gonna do. So that's one thing, is that usually a special session is 1 or 2 days. There were many bills that were vetoed. The governor vetoed dozens of bills. It was very frustrating. And it would take a long time to override all of those vetoes, even just Kerwin, because the Senate has the ability to filibuster. They can speak as long as they want. And so there's a good chance that it would take a week, 2 weeks, more than that, to override some of the vetoes. The Board of Public Works can cut the budget, and they can cut the budget that we have passed. That's not something that we would be able to change in a special session. Oops, sorry. So that's not something that we could change in a special session, unfortunately. We also can't, as a General Assembly, allocate funding. So one of the things that I think is so important right now is increasing rental support, because that helps landlords, because then renters have money to pay, and it just supports the whole system. And the governor has money that he could be using for more rental support. But we can't go in. If we were to go in right now and pass a bill mandating money to go towards rental support, it wouldn't go into effect until July 1, 2022, because that is our budgetary power. We can't affect current budget. We can only affect the next budget, which is July 1, 2022. However, there will be a very important ballot initiative on the ballot this year. I think it's question number 1, that changes the legislature and governor's budgeting authority. We are the only state in the country where the General Assembly cannot add money to budget into our budget, like items. So if the governor says, I'm going to give $2 million to Safe Streets programs, we can't say, well, we're going to take $100,000 from this other program and put it towards Safe Streets program, so Safe Streets gets 2.1 million. We don't have the power to do that right now. We're the only General Assembly in the country that cannot do that. We're the strongest governor in the country as far as budgetary powers goes. So we passed a bill at the end of session to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot to change it so that the General Assembly shares budget making authority with the governor, and in exchange gives the governor the right to line item veto. So I will be supporting that, and it will not go into effect until the next governor takes office. So this is not about Governor Hogan. This is about just making sure that the legislature is on more equal footing in terms of budgetary power. So look out for that one. Why is the governor pushing up to stage 3 on Friday? I don't know. I actually haven't even had a chance to watch the press conference yet. So I can't honestly answer that question. I'm sorry. I don't want to give you a wrong answer. Governor Hogan's announcement, do you know when exposure notification system deployed by Apple and Google will go live in Maryland? I don't yet. I have, my team actually sent an email to ask about that, but I don't know yet when it will go live. Sorry. Well, great. It was great to be here with you. Hopefully I'll see you around at Morlix or in the park or Verde or some other delicious spot in our neighborhood. Thanks so much for being involved with Canton Community Association. Amanda, Mark, Torben, everybody, Vic, thanks for all your work. And Dr. Bear, great to see you. Take care, everybody, and have a great night. Take care.
Thanks, Brooke.
Bye, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Okay, great. Fantastic presentations from Brandon and Brooke. The next announcement we had to discuss was the city elections, but it looks like Brooke covered that, and the link that Amanda sent around includes that information.
And then this was just an overarching general,
great.
Image here
Awesome.
to do all these things. Yep.
Yeah, so if you go to that link, you'll be able to do everything that you need to do, as well as I would just put in a plug for younger folks who have the time and the ability to sign up to be election judges. We are going to have a significant lack of election judges this year because they tend to be folks of the population who are particularly susceptible to the effects of COVID-19. And so a large majority of that population cannot and should not be election judges. So we're going to have a dearth of election judge positions that we need to fill. On that same page where you go to request your ballot, you can also apply to be an election judge. So I'm putting a special shout out to folks and a call to folks to do that. Let's have the Canton neighborhood really hold up its weight in terms of election judge signups of our local residents. That'd be a fantastic thing. The next announcement we have is about the Canton History Project. I say that knowing that the name is likely going to change soon, but for now, that is the title of the project. This is the project, for everybody's information, that we started a little while back and had our first official meeting on Tuesday of last week. It is the group that was formed in the wake of the George Floyd killing and all of the protests that we've seen around the country, and an awakening that's frankly far overdue, but an awakening of renewed push for the Black Lives Matter movement. It's resulted in us in Canton taking a long overdue at our own history of slavery and white supremacy. The fact that the statue in the middle of Canton is for venerating Captain John Odonnell, who owned a slave plantation that is what we know as Canton today. So this is the group, the working group that we have put together to tackle these issues. We have a multitude of subcommittees that we have formed, and we are looking to get to work to deal with the conversations that need to happen and the work that needs to happen around these issues in Canton. And we would love for you to join us. We have a fantastic group of folks so far. We are always interested in adding more voices to the table. We have a lot of work to do, frankly. There are a lot of issues that we need to tackle. And the more folks that we have involved and the more diverse voices we have at the table, the better we will all be at working through these issues in the future. So if you're interested in getting involved in what is now known as the Canton History Project, but will likely have a new name soon, we would love to have you. Amanda, if you wouldn't mind to just put up the info email that anybody that wants to get involved, if you just want to shoot an email to info@cantoncommunity.org, tell us you want to be involved with the Canton History Project. I will get right back to you and we will get you involved. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Torben, who's going to talk to us about Odonnell Square Park.
Hello, everyone. So you've probably noticed there's been a lot of changes around Odonnell Square Park. I'll give you a quick update on what's been going on. The first and foremost, the most obvious thing is that the streets were shut down 7 days a week for a few weeks. And that had to be done because it was part of the process to get to where we're at now, where we have limited restricted access to actually drive on Odonnell Square around the park. So we just want to make sure everyone's aware that there was a process that had to be done. And, the city makes you jump through hoops, but we had to follow those things in order to get where we're at. We really appreciate the patience for, the process and everything. But where we're at now is, if you notice on what Amanda's sharing right now, there it shows emergency vehicles only, business deliveries, city services can get access now, handicap drop off, pick up, and permitted short-term retail parking only. So permitted means if that retail shop has a sign that says 15, 20, 30 minutes parking in front of their business, that means you can park there. And I wanted to make a note that there is no overnight parking around the square on where the signs are up. There are signs around the park showing that there is a fire lane. Please make sure you aid that. They're just a reminder because there's the city signs up on the trees that say no parking, period. But the signs we put up are a lot prettier. They're more vibrant, and you can actually see the signs, and they're not far behind on a tree being hidden. We are also doing table service. We have a volunteer from the community, Trey. He's putting tables out in the middle of the square. He is sanitizing them and he's just asking for tips. If you feel like tipping, he has a suggested amount. We did get approval from Rec and Parks to do this. They think it's a great idea to spread people out and make sure that you're sitting on clean and sanitized tables. So he'll be out there Thursday through Sunday. rain, rain or shine. But if it's like really bad rain and thunder, obviously he won't put tables out. If you also notice, there's lighting that's going up in the middle of the square. It's work in progress. The final product will be lights all throughout the square above, and sun sails in order to assist the dining and to assist with making that space what it's supposed to be used for, which is not a dog park. It's supposed to be used, for families to come out and enjoy the grass, which is actually green this year, which it hasn't been green for a long as well. So I'm actually pretty happy about that. I also want to make sure that, if you see anybody in the flower pit pulling flowers or damaging flowers, please, say something, because we put a lot of money and volunteer effort in keeping the park beautiful and clean. I've noticed the past few days, there's been a lot of trash, and I've been out there picking up, and I've been noticing some of the businesses have been out there picking up. But I am looking for volunteers to help weed the gardens on the west and east side of Odonnell Square Park. You can email me at outreach@cantoncommunity.org. I'm going to be looking to have that done. Hopefully the Beautify Brunch Club can come out and help do that. So just if you can, make sure you go out and check out the retail stores like 2910 and Best Day Ever. If you're going to use the M&T Bank and you're elderly or you're driving an elderly person, feel free to come in and park in front of M&T Bank. The last thing I want to see is someone having to walk too far when we have this open and accessible for them. So I want to thank everybody for their patience once again. And is there any other questions about what's going on in the square?
Well, one thing I just want to reiterate is that the 1,000 block and 1,100 blocks of South Curly are for resident parking only. I cannot stress this enough. You may be able to get through or back down, but it doesn't matter. It is for resident parking only. This is per the city permit. We may need to get a couple more signs up, but it's pretty clear that's out there. And for residents of those blocks also have a little permit that's in their front windshield. So we appreciate the cooperation there of not trying to skirt around this issue by parking on those 2 blocks, because as of this time, it's resident parking only, 24/7.
Thank you.
Great. Just wanted to make sure I followed up on Hayden and Val had questions earlier about the Odonnell Square statue. That group, the Canton History Project, is specifically the group that is working on tackling those issues, meaning what happened to the statue if it comes down, where does it go, what do we put in its place, all those kinds of questions. So Val, Hayden, we'd love to have you both involved. If you're interested, shoot us an email at info@cantoncommunity.org. Just let us know you want to be involved with the Canton History Project, and I will make sure to get you involved. With that, let us jump to Lauren Malandivino and our fantastically successful Buy a Brick program.
Thank you so much, Mark. Hi, I'm Lauren Divino, and I am the volunteer coordinator of the Odonnell Square Park Commemorative Brick Program. Your purchase of a brick actually helps support the endowment to maintain the park. So all the wonderful work that Torben is doing to make the park look beautiful, that purchase of the brick, the proceeds go towards that fund. So, and a brick purchase is a very unique opportunity to pay tribute to someone's love of the community, or recognize birthdays or weddings or anniversaries, businesses, or memorialize loved ones, or we've even had a marriage proposal done on a brick. So we have, so far we've sold, well, since May 2017, we've sold 295 total installed and duplicate bricks. A commemorative brick, which is installed in the park around the east and west flower beds, which is along Potomac Avenue and also Linwood Avenue, is $70. And you can also purchase a duplicate brick, which I actually have an example right here, that has a felt backing, and that's for an extra $35. So again, thank you so much to everyone for their support and their of this program. And also, I wanted to just note that I have another order going in this Friday. So if anyone that is participating on the Zoom call is interested in buying a brick, and thanks, Amanda, please check out the CCA website to purchase a brick. Everything is done. All the purchases are done online. All right. Thank you so much. Any questions? All right, super. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lauren. It looks like, Mark, there's another question for Torben about the square, or for us, from Dominic. Is there a long-term plan for redesigning the Odonnell Park instead of ad hoc setup as it's currently there? Torben,
Yeah,
you want to speak on that?
Yeah, we're gonna have to revisit the master plan for Odonnell Square. There was one done maybe a decade or so ago. We are looking into those plans, and I'm hoping that we can have, you know, a community meeting to put that together to see what the future plan for the park will be, because we're getting a lot of opinions and advice for what to do in the park. But right now, obviously, we're in weird times where we can't physically go out there and have a session like that. But there is a plan in the works to revisit and look at the long-term plan and move forward from there.
And I would just add, correct me if I'm wrong, Torben, but to anybody that wants to be interested, wants to be involved in that planning process, and cares about the square and the long-term plan, the park, reach out to us, and we'll be sure to get you involved as that planning is happening. You know, everything we do is volunteer driven. So if there's a particular issue that's of interest to you and you want to be involved in it, there is a very low barrier to involvement. Just reach out to us and we will make sure to get you involved.
The answer to Valeria's question about leave, that would be a question you would send to the DOT. We don't have access to their records or their files on what is happening over there. It's really nothing that we can do about it except send a letter, you know, to our councilman. But as far as that, that's someone I would reach out to DOT about that.
I can tell you, Val, just on that point, that I have seen communications between local community members, representatives from DOT, and our councilman in his office. And I do think that they're working collectively and then also with Lee's, as far as I can tell, to resolve that situation. So I know the work is happening to try and deal with it. I think it's a combination of, you know, trying to help local small businesses be successful, but also make sure that what they're doing doesn't break the rules and isn't unsafe. So I think it's trying to find that medium between it. That's a great question. And obviously, to the extent that we have any, you know, specific updates on that, we'll make sure to send them out, and I'll make sure to send it to you specifically, Val, so that we can keep you posted. With that, we are going to turn it to the acting director of the Department of Public Works, Matt Garbark.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, Mark, Joe, Amanda, others, for inviting me to this. I'm really happy to be here. I am just want to say I am a member of the Canton community, so this has a specific connection to me. So I hope you all will be gentle. Just wanted to give a brief update on what's going on with our trash and recycling collections. And I'm going to be the first to say that this is not a good scenario. I'm not happy with this scenario. I'm not pleased that we're at this point, but this is where we are, and this is what the data and our information is showing. So as I think all of you know, we shut down operations in June because we got a significant number of COVID cases at our East Side sanitation yard at Bowley's Lane. That's what controls the collections for this area. So all of East Baltimore is out of Bowley's Lane. That had some significant disruptions for the 3 weeks from June. We restored those operations in early July, the July 4th week. We were really hoping and thought that those staffing issues would be addressed by that point, but we were not anticipating the hottest July in recorded history in Maryland. We not only was it the hottest July, it also broke a 148-year record of number of days that were at or above 90 degrees. So we had a significant fear and anxiety of COVID. Our folks, our trash and recycling collectors, they are in the community. They are touching and embracing and dealing with stuff that could put them in could have them touch or get COVID. But also, it was just such a brutal month of August, and we require all our folks to wear masks, and that just exacerbated everything. We started seeing a lot of heat-related illness, heat-related injuries. People were hot, they were tired, they did something foolish, they fell, they tripped, and we started seeing the number of people on medical leave just skyrocket. We need about 210 workers, 140 laborers, and 70 drivers each and every day to perform all of our trash and recycling operations. We are averaging 150 the last few weeks. So we have been scraping by with trying to collect trash. We've had to pull folks from recycling to do that the last few weeks, and those routes have just started increasing and increasing and increasing. And unfortunately, it got so significant, it was over a week before we could complete routes that for recycling that we missed, the week prior. So we made a determination that we needed to focus on the trash collection as a public health emergency. And we worked diligently to try to find areas and methods that people who are really, cognizant about sustainability and recycling could do that and not be too put out or overwhelmed or make it too difficult for folks to do that. I resisted this as much as I could, up to the point when I asked John Chalmers, who runs all of solid waste. He started on the back of a trash truck 35 years ago, and he's at every operation. He knows it inside out and backwards. And I asked him finally last week, I said, John, can we continue like this? And he said no. And just looking at the data, talking to him, talking to everyone else, we didn't have a choice. We had to focus on trash collection, and we had to unfortunately suspend recycling collection. We've seen an increase overall in trash collection of 20%. July, year to date, just for July, we saw a 50% increase in trash collected. This has meant we have to go unload the trucks now a third time rather than just 2 times. That means our trucks have to go to either the Quarantine Road landfill or all the way to the Northwest Transfer Station. That adds a tremendous amount of time, which has obviously elongated those hours. So, it's not an excuse or anything, but other cities have also been in this situation. We have tried to pursue as much as we could. Other cities, other communities around the country have stopped this a lot early on, much earlier than we have. And other utilities and other areas are actually just saying, you know what, recycling is done for the time being. We have, talking to some of the national organizations, they are noticing Baltimore that we have taken the steps to try and make recycling accommodations. It's something we really believe in. It's something that we have to do because we cannot rely on our landfill and we cannot rely on just trash disposal. We have to recycle more. We have to divert more of our waste. And I know there's some folks who I've heard think that, it's all going to the landfill anyway. That is not true. Our landfill is nearing capacity. It is one of the most serious situations we have is the landfill capacity. We are diverting everything we can from that landfill. So recycling is so important to that, to continue diverting stuff from the landfill. And I just want to echo you know, what Council President Scott said, and I know Councilman Cohen has been, you know, very active as well. They have been truly holding us accountable. I mean, they have been asking some very tough and difficult questions, and you know, my perspective with all of this is we're not hiding anything. This is we're gonna let everyone know everything that we have, and just tell you where we are. And if we miss something, you know, we're happy to change it. We're happy to embrace it. Just this past weekend, we heard from someone in the community, I think it was in Butchers Hill, who said that there were some rules up at our Sisson Street location that were not helpful to people who wanted to recycle. I changed them immediately. So I don't want to make it seem as though we're sort of ordaining this and it's done. I want to say, you know, if there are ways we can make it better and help people, you know, through this time, I'm all for that. And I'm truly, truly hoping that we can restart recycling in normal operations before November 1st. That is my goal. And as soon as we can, we will do so. So I don't know if folks have any questions or anything like that, but you know, I'm happy to answer these questions.
I've seen some. I'm happy to read them to you if you like, if that'll make it easy.
Let's see.
The first one I saw is from Hayden at 749, which you sort of answered about landfill, incinerator, where exactly the recycling is going with the new system.
Right. So, yeah. So our recycling, we have a contract with Waste Management. We take our recycling to what's called a material processing facility. They actually process the materials into their different, you know, materials that they can then sell wholesale to a manufacturer. All of our recycling is going right there. It bypasses everything. It bypasses the landfill, everything. We take it right to Waste Management, who sorts that for us. So it does not go into the landfill. I saw a question about emergency funding. What we are thankfully looking at is we have been advised that many of our emergency contracts and other things are allowed to be reimbursed by the federal government in the CARES Act. So that is taking some tremendous strain off of us. We have been suffering for years with limited funding. And so we're very thankful for that. See.
A lot of compliments and thank yous.
Well,
as is appropriate for our folks at DPW who are clearly working very hard.
And I owe our folks a tremendous amount. As President Scott mentioned, we lost one of our own last week while he was on his route. And it's really affected a lot of folks. And our folks, if you meet, I'm sure you met your trash collector. They are the greatest people you'll ever meet. And it's a career where you either love it or you hate it. I mean, we have about a 20% retention rate after the first week of work. It's that hard, but the people who stick through it, I have people who are 60 years in the job and they're still driving a truck. It's just one of those careers where it's a love it or hate it type of career.
Matt, I see a question from Julie. She said, when we take our recycling to the drop-off points, can it be in bags?
So it can be in paper bags. If you bring it in a plastic bag, you can do that. What we're going to ask that you do is you open the plastic bag. We're going to have another trash container where you can deposit that plastic bag. That's a very important point. The plastic bags actually get caught in the processing equipment, and it actually can cause it to get stuck and actually break the equipment. So the processing center throws anything in a plastic bag out. So we're going to ask folks to open it up and dispose of it. We do have workers there who can assist folks with that.
Okay. I think there was another question or a comment from Stacy in that Stacy had gone to the recycling at Quarantine Road, was told that she had recycling, and he told her that it goes in the same dumpster as the trash.
So, okay, so thank you. Yes, We had an issue over the weekend with folks at the Quarantine Road landfill who were either not trained properly or not acting properly, and that was of great concern. They were telling folks to dump the recycling up in the landfill, and then they were actually charging people a tipping fee, which is completely inappropriate. We do not do that. So if someone is telling you to do that, that is wrong. All recycling can be dropped off and will be dropped off at the Quarantine Road drop-off area, which is not in the landfill. And all of that stuff is going to go directly to our processing facility. It's not going to go to the landfill.
Great. I think that's it, Matt. Oh, wait, hold on. We got another one. I'm sorry.
Oh, water bill. That is the other headache problem, that we've been dealing with is water billing. We are in the process of continuing an audit on that. And we're trying to look at what our billing says as well as our records. We are going through account by account, when people have a question or an issue and want to get a change with that or an issue with that. If you want to give me individuals' addresses, I can follow up directly and get that information handled.
Oh, do you just want to send a chat directly to Matt? That might work so that you don't have to put your address in the public chat and you could just send it directly to him. Or Matt, if you have an address, email address you want to give us?
Sure. It is Matthew, MATTHEW .GARBARK @baltimorecity.gov.
Great.
And I just want to remind everyone that the recycling drop-off location for Southeast for Council District 1 is our Maritime Operations Facility. It's on 3311 Eastbourne Avenue. And that is right off of Clinton Street, right a couple blocks down from the First Mariner building.
What was the address again?
3311 Eastbourne, EASTBOURNE Avenue. And you can go to anyone in the city, wherever you are. So.
Great. And Matt, maybe what we'll do with you, if it's okay, is if you need to log off and people have follow-up questions, we'll coordinate and collate them. We'll get them to you and we'll get responses back out to folks.
Happy to.
So, great.
Happy to.
Thank you so much for your time and everything you're doing. And please extend our sincerest thanks to all the folks at DPW for the hard work that you're doing in very difficult circumstances.
Thank you very much. And we definitely appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on. Okay, everybody, I know it's getting close to 8 o'clock. We try to run a real tight ship, but we did start a bit late and we want to make sure we get all the information out, as well as the fact that we're recording this and we're going to put it up on our Facebook page. So I want to make sure we get everybody all the necessary information. With that, we're going to turn it over to Joe Kohler, our public safety chair, for your update relating the Get Lit campaign and our block captain program.
So I'm actually going to first start with the block captain program, just to kind of follow up with Matt Garbark was talking about with the new location for us to drop off our recycling. There's obviously individuals on our blocks who either work during those hours of 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. or they might be handicapped. They might have other restrictions that don't allow them to drop off their recycling. So just as I called on the block captains and volunteers to help out with food support during COVID, I'm also going to ask block captains to do the same for recycling, to organize on your Facebook groups that you've created or your email distribution lists to work with your block to make sure that everyone is able to recycle and have the drop-offs. If you have any questions about that, you can email me. And Amanda, Torben, and Mark have also asked if you have any interest in volunteering. We've put out that email address multiple times tonight, and it's also on the agenda, the info@cantoncommunity.org email address. And then the next thing I'd like to talk about is, thanks, Amanda, is just from a high level, just as an update with the police, because I know typically in these public meetings, we would often have 1 or 2 police officers come. So there's been a little bit of change in command. Major Milton Sneed, who we had, he actually left for major crimes. He was reassigned. He was one of the more higher profile majors that we were lucky to have as when we did have him. And during that transition, Captain Hopkins became the major, sorry. And we also have a new captain as well, who I got to meet briefly, Captain Boyd. She just joined us. There were also a couple of shifts with lieutenants. So some of you might remember Sergeant Christopher Marino. He left us to go to the range, and then he also became a lieutenant. Now he's back with the Southeast District as Lieutenant Christopher Marino. And we'll primarily be dealing with him. So we have fewer people who are representing, I guess, that office that deals with the community. There's gonna be a fewer officers there than before. There's only gonna be a couple. So he's one of them. Also, as we've gained Christopher Marino back, we also lost Lieutenant Gardner. He's leaving, and eventually I think he's gonna retire too. And we've had him in our district for a long time. So that's kind of the shifting there. I'm still trying to figure out what we're gonna do with cop walks. No announcements on that, just because of social distancing. And then finally, I'm gonna kind of speak on behalf of Chris Broughton, who's done an amazing job of, I guess, trying to push forward the Get Lit campaign project, along with our board itself. But he's really gone to great lengths to reach out to different block captains to start installing these new lights. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to me. I haven't really been that active with the installation piece of it. Chris has, but I do have a list of all the materials, the prices, and everything else. So if you're interested in doing that, please let me know. And what I'm talking about are these cafe lights, the tea lights that you've probably seen in Butchers Hill if you've driven by there, walked through there. If you go to the 600 block of Elwood Street, where Chris first did this, it's really pretty. And so hopefully if we can get enough people on a given block, we can get more and more people or blocks lit up. And with that also, we want to make sure that we're having enough street lighting in front and also in the alleys where a lot of the break-ins do occur when we do have our break-ins. And also we want to make sure that people are turning on their porch or stoop lights. And if they don't have them, to try to get those installed. So those are kind of the initiatives of the Get Lit campaign. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe, for everything that you do. Keep it up.
And yes, please, anybody that's interested in being a block captain, please step up. I mean, it can be as little or as much as, it needs to be. I mean, depending on your effort, how much time and effort you can put in. But we really just need a point of contact on these blocks that's willing to kind of get to know your neighbors and get the lay of the land. And then, if you need help with things, we can help. We can maybe step up and help. But, it's actually a really fun thing to do and be. And, these lights are great. I have them on my block too. So just reach out. There are people that can help, but we need others in the neighborhood to step up as well in order to get these projects done. We can't do everything ourselves.
Sarah, I see a question from you on the block captain program. You just recently moved here. Welcome. Great to have you. And you asked how you can find out who yours is. If you want to shoot an email to info@cantoncommunity.org and tell us which block of which street you are on. Amanda just put it up. We can respond to you. We'll let you know. If there is someone, we'd love to have you involved. If there isn't someone, we'd love to have you involved. Either way, if you're interested in getting involved with your block, that would be fantastic, and we can let you know who your block captain is. With that, we're going to move over to Adrian Icas-Muting, who is in a neck-and-neck battle with Joe for the best Baltimore exposed brick background of tonight's Zoom. So it's good to have you two back to back. tell us what we got going on at HHA, Adrian.
Thanks, Mark. So I just wanted to announce that HHA, the local elementary middle school, is virtual starting on Tuesday the 8th. So it's a public charter school, but we do follow the Baltimore City school calendar. So we are starting virtually and with live classrooms, but the principal did want to say that they had a successful in-person summer class program for 50 students. And they practiced the test, doing the temperature and getting everyone in and out in a safe manner. So they've really been working on that. The PTO has helped fund some 16 HEPA filters for the school. So they're really preparing in case that we can do hybrid starting October 16th when the school board makes a decision. So we hope that that works. One thing I do need to say about fundraising is our annual B3 fundraiser has moved 3 times. The date has moved 3 times. So it's being canceled for November 7th. We are pushing it to the spring of 2021, but we may do something community-wide for the fall. So we will keep everyone in touch. I'm the chair of the education committee, so Amanda, can you put that email in there? The education at community, whatever the email is, at cantoncommunity.org. If anyone wants to, thank you. Anyone wants to help participate in any type of education, it's not just AAA, any type of education matters. And lastly, I'm going to put a link in the chat about donating to needy families at Hampstead Hill. So as we talked about, the COVID rate in 21224 has been hitting a lot of our families. So we've been collecting gift cards and cash to buy gift cards. So I'll put that link in the chat as well if anyone wants to donate. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Thanks so much, Adrian.
Yeah, thank you.
Amanda, do you want to jump in with Neighborhood Shred Day?
Sure. So I'm actually personally very happy about this. I've been working remotely for about 3 years and have had to kind of haul my stuff up to the home office every once in a while up in Pennsylvania. And so, when everybody started working remotely, we thought, let's try to figure out how to get a community shredder day going where Shredded is the company. They're going to come with a large truck and we'll be able to have a drop off your whatever you need shredded, whether it be personal items, work items, or whatnot, paper. But so luckily, we got, this is going to be sponsored by Masters Title and Escrow, which is on Canton Square, or Odonnell Square, on Odonnell Square. And also along with Cummings & Co., the Blazer team. Those guys have teamed up to pay for this for us and sponsor it. And we've organized it. It's going to be a Saturday, September 19th at the Canton Waterfront Park parking lot. And details to follow as far as the rules and if there's any restrictions for what you can drop off. But it's going to be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And again, it's Saturday, September 19th. And we'll be putting out an event for it and more information on our Facebook pages and Instagram and Nextdoor once we can have a minute to do it, because we just got all these details today. So we will just wanted to get that information out to you and hope that it can be of use to you maybe. And I know we'll have another dumpster day coming up in October, but I don't have that date off the top of my head. If someone else does, great. But those are already set up on the events, in the events page on the Canton Community Association Facebook page. So if you want to find out when the next dumpster day is, you can go there. And then the next day or two, the Shred It Day will be posted as well.
Amanda, I do see 2 questions on the Shred It, one from Vic and one from Val. Do you want
both we will find out and let everybody know
Okay.
Yeah, the first step was getting the date set up and location, and now that we have that, we'll get the questions like this, you know, what people can come and bring, and then you know, if you do want to, you know, if there is some sort of proof of destruction that needed, we'll see if that's an option as well.
Great.
And it looks thanks
And
Julie
thanks
for
to
posting.
Julie on the
Yeah.
spot. Yep.
October 10th is the next dumpster day. Again, early bird catches the worm. I think this thing filled up in an hour maybe this time. And, you know, people say, you know, if we've heard bizarrely have heard complaints that we should get more of these, but obviously right now this is the fact that the city gives us 4 dates a year. We can do this 4 times a year. And so this will be the 4th one happening, I believe. We may have, I'm not sure. We'll take a look at that because we did have one cancel over the summer. So we'll check on that to see if we do have an extra one that we could maybe do in November as well for everybody doing their fall cleaning.
Great. And then you wanted to talk about committees that
yeah, we just have again, if you know, it's closing out. If we have a bunch of committees. Mark already kind of touched on it and them, and we've talked about block captains. We just really need help and people to get involved. The more people that get involved, the more we can do, and it's less stress on everybody. And you know, when you pitch in, and it feels good, and it's good to help. And so, you know, we look for people right now, the social committee, marketing, membership committees. These are all committees that if you have an interest in, we'd love to have you. You know, there's other ones too. Joe's got his public safety, transportation committee, you know, we're losing our head there, right? Mark, Elliot Plack, unfortunately, and we should probably say something about Elliot on this call, you know.
That's true.
So I'll, you know, no prepared remarks there, but Elliot's been an amazing resource and neighbor to us for the past, I don't know how many, you know, at least 10 years almost, I think now, if not longer, years.
Incredible community member.
Absolutely. And he, you know, he did so much. And, you know, not only was he one of the founders of the Canton Neighbors Facebook page too, which just won Baltimore Magazine's best Facebook page. But besides that, you know, he's a great guy, and he's, you know, just done so much and taken so much time with computer stuff, tech, transportation stuff, you know, the pages, you know, all of it. So anyway, we'll miss him, but I'm sure he'll be, you know, we'll see him pop up on meetings and stuff to stay in the loop. So yeah, I know it's been a long day, a long meeting. Thank you for everyone that held in there with us. Mark, do you want to take us through the closeout?
Yeah, just to say that I've seen a number of folks email us already throughout the course of the meeting at that info@cantoncommunity.org. I get a notification of that immediately. So any questions that you have, any follow-up, anything you want to be involved in, that's a great way to reach out to us, as well as go to the website, become a member. It costs $10 for the entire year. We put out a newsletter every month that Julie spends a tremendous amount of time and effort putting together in a fantastic way. 95% of your questions on Canton Neighbors are answered if you get the monthly newsletter. I can assure you of that. It tells you all the news that's going on in Canton. So for $10 a year, as well as access to everything else we do, you will get that monthly newsletter in your inbox with all the latest details and information of everything going on in Canton. Our social media stuff is up on the screen now. We would love to have you follow us. We try to be very communicative and responsive. We love this community dearly, and we would love to have you join us in the work that we are doing. With that, we can let everybody enjoy the rest of their Tuesday evening. I'm going to check one more time to see if there's any questions that we can answer before we let you go. As Julie said, $10 membership sign up on the site. And I would just say from my perspective to Elliot, thank you for everything that you've done for us. We will miss you dearly.
Oh, he's on the call. I didn't even know he was on the call. I didn't even know he was on the call.
He's on. We'll see you around, and we wish you the very best of luck with your new venture.
Hey, thanks so much, guys. Yeah, I've been here listening, and it's been a good time working with the CCA over the years. Just moving up the street to Towson area, so still in the relative, you know, Baltimore metro, and looking forward to transferring, you know, some of the transportation stuff over to some new people that want to get involved. And it's always a pleasure to help.
Great. Thanks, Elliot. Everybody, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. We will sign off. Take care. See you soon. Hopefully sometime in person. Have a good one, everybody.
Night.